There is an old saying that only fools travel alone without money. Personally, I think the greatest danger of travelling alone without money is that you start to love mankind the less and nature more. When you hear that fire flicker and crackle as you prepare your dumpster dive food, and when you look down and see the display of food you've just cooked, the feeling that comes over you, well, you just can't explain it. Like this squatted farm I ventured into in Holland called the Sprouches, where I shared the knowledge of my book, The Experiences of a Talented Chef.
Good evening guys, and welcome back to the Hitchhiker's Guide to Food. As you can see today, what we're doing is we're cooking a little bit of outdoor cooking. What we have here is it's known as a Scandinavian torch. A Swedish torch is most common known as, or a Canadian log. Now what it consists of is a log like this cut in four like a pizza, just down 3/4 ways. When the oxygen gets in here, you light it on top and it fuels enough fuel from it to heat your pan and cook on it. The legend has it this was invented by a hobo who went from train to train, and as he was waiting for his train he'd make this device and he'd cook his meals on it and keep himself warm while he was waiting for the next train. Today I want to demonstrate how to cook a nice pork dish for Valentine's Day and how you can cook it from this very device and present it like you would in fine dining restaurants. The thing we're going to do is we're going to pan on our stove. It's the same as using gas, same principle. Our pan is hot enough. A little bit of olive oil like so. And I'm just going to do a nice little pork dish. So what I have over here to show you is I've got some pork scallops from our skip. I've got some plums, which are from last year and been preserved. I've got some cumin, some turmeric, some chili powder and some coriander. And I've got some onions, some fennel and some ginger chopped already ahead of time. Some buffalo mozzarella and some star anise. What I'm going to do first of all, I'm just going to season my pork stick with a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to marinate it in the spices just briefly. And I'll show you how it's done, like so. What we're going to do is we're going to add our coriander, our turmeric and our chili powder, and we're just going to add them all onto it like that. And we're just going to grab our olive oil and literally just toss the whole thing through the spice. I'm just going to cook one for demonstration purposes, but you'll get the general idea of how you've got a nice flavour from this chili, and you've got a nice flavour from the buffalo mozzarella that I'm going to be putting on top of this as well. That's it, basically quickly marinated into your hot pan. You can see it's smoking hot. And just into it like so. Alright guys, so you can see that the heat from the log is starting to pick up. It's starting to nicely fry off our pork. Now all the slits that we have here that are made from a chainsaw, cut in four, that lets the air come in and fuels all this heat that we have coming up to the bottom of our pan. I'm just going to turn over our pork now and we're going to take it off. Just like so. There's a key factor here in cooking, in that when you put something hot or something cold onto a hot surface on meat, let my fingers be open like this, it gets really tense. And when it's on direct heat, when you take it off like so, the heat stays here and it starts to relax the fibres in the meat, and all that spices that we just put into it starts to soak it up. So I'm just going to leave that off here on the ground and leave that cook itself, and it will continue to cook. And you can see the device here itself is perfect. It's got the four rings just like a gas ring, and all the oxygen's coming in here and it's just helping burn the wood right up. And you see the pot fits perfectly onto it like so. So the next thing I'm going to make is chutney. So I'll just add a little bit of oil again. Give it a second for the oil to heat up. And I'm just going to add some ginger, like so. Just a little bit of ginger, and a little bit of diced red onions. Not too much, you can see how much there. Just like so. It's a bit smoky in the eyes, alright, to be fair. This is a high heat, so you've got to be really, really careful that you don't burn your ingredients. Now what I have over here is plums. These are plums that I got from last season's plum from the orchards that we have here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our plums in just now, because this is really intense. I'll just show you how quick that is to heat up. It's really quickly. In with our plums for our chutney, like so. Just let them reduce down nicely and almost caramelized. Now what I have done is I've added a tablespoon of vinegar just in with the plums, just to give it that kind of a sweet and sourness. What you get? Just like so. Just almost a chutney, but it's not quite a chutney. I'm just almost caramelizing the plums with a little bit of ginger and a little bit of onions. And I don't want it to get too chutney. I want to keep them kind of in kind of quarters or halves of plums with a nice shine on it. Our pork is nicely resting and it's still continuing to cook. You can still feel it there, the heat is still in that. That's continuing to cook. It's a very important, crucial process in cooking, not to overcook, because that's now cooked. The pork has to be cooked well done. When it's now cooked at a medium, it'll be well done by the time it goes back in the heat. All of this food, it must be said and reminded to you, it's all got from the skip. Now yesterday when we got our pork, it was out of date, by its sell-by date yesterday. It was -10 last night when we went to the skip. It was almost the fridge itself outside, and the food itself is just sell-by date, is out of date technically today. But it's quite fine, and you can see the dish that we're going to cook is beautiful. That now, to me, is just ready to come off and let it stand. While that stands, look, our third pot. Again, our oil, not too much. And we're just going to saute a little bit of fennel that I've sliced ahead of time. This has got a nice licorice flavour. So in with the fennel. You can even add in the ginger that we had left over and the onions, a little bit extra flavour into it there. And the next thing that I'm going to add in with the cabbage to give it a nice licorice flavour is one of these here star anise. Now, these are available at your health food stores. Your spice shops have them usually as well, and you can get them pretty much anywhere and they're cheap. And it smells like licorice and it looks like this little star, and just one's enough to add it right in and just stir it through and use the pot for the chutney. And just let it cook. We've got some braised red cabbage here, you can see it's just like this. And the recipe for this cabbage is in my first book, Experience as a Chef. This has been found in a skip. It's already been in a packet. So I've added in like this. With our fennel and our star anise. I have to remind you, this is very smoky. I do apologise for the quality on the camera. I'm just going to heat this up, and while we're heating this up, I'm just going to grab some buffalo mozzarella cheese, which we've got from our skip as well. Literally what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of the cheese, put it on top of our pork, just like so, on top of the pork. And we'll put a nice little bit on top of it just for... I'm just going to put a little bit of pepper on top of our mozzarella. And when this comes off, I'm going to put the pork back on, and then we're ready to do a presentation. I'll show you how to cook a hobo Valentine's meal. So all the flavours now are coming through our cabbage with our licorice from our star anise and from our fennel, our onions and our ginger. It's just ready. If I can get the shot of it in the camera to show you what it's like. So I'm going to put this back on the heat. Alright guys, so we've got the buffalo mozzarella cheese, which we got from our skip, on top of our spiced pork, and we just left it on here to melt, and our pork is melted, as you can see. Just taking off this off the heat again, the cabbage and our plums. So we're just going to do some presentation now. Alright guys, the next thing we're going to do is presentation. So it's always good to have a white plate, I find better. And look at your plate like it's canvas and that you're painting a picture. I'll show you how I paint a picture with this kind of ingredients that we've just cooked from our Swedish stove. I'm going to first of all take the cabbage that's infused with star anise and infused with some fennel. I'm going to put that in the centre of the plate. Very important to keep star anise out of it. You can't eat the star anise. It's purely there for flavour. And keep it centre height as possible is one of the key things in presentation. Centre height, keep it relevant and keep it necessary. So that there is our cabbage first of all. Next thing is our pork to go on top. I'll just show you with the buffalo mozzarella cheese on top like so. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take some of our plums and our ginger and our red onions, and we're just going to literally leave 3 little sections around, just like so. Just like so. What I have here is some turmeric oil, and it's just turmeric and oil, and I have some red cabbage juice, red cabbage, and olive oil. And this is purely just for colour, for decoration, for Valentine's Day, for your partner, or for whoever. It's just to give it a little bit of a nice lift and a nice kind of a bit of sexiness kind of to your food. Just a small little drizzle, not too much, like so. And the same with turmeric oil, just to give it a bit of yellowness, just like so. A little bit more in the corner. What I have here is some deep fried spaghetti. So all that is, just spaghetti raw. I put it into the fat burner and I brought it up after about 5 seconds. I'm just going to put that on top of it, like so. And that's it. I'm kind of hiding the secret of deep fried spaghetti, and a lot of chefs have been frustrated trying to make flour and water as to make this particular garnish. So you can see it makes a big difference in presentation to keep it high, keep it sexy, and keep it as much colour and abstract art as you can possible to it. And that, my friends, is the difference between a cheap meal and an expensive meal. And that there, I'll just show you, it's cooked from a skip, and it's also cooked from a Swedish log candle, all for free. It's known as a Scandinavian torch. The Swedish torch is most common known as turmeric, and our chili powder. I'm just going to add them all onto it like that. So I'm just going to leave that off here on the ground and leave that cook itself, and it will continue to cook. Just a little bit of ginger, and a little bit of diced red onions. Not too much, you can see how much there. I'm just going to saute a little bit of fennel that I've sliced ahead of time. This has got a nice licorice flavour. In with the fennel. We can even add in the ginger that we had left over and the onions. This is the difference between a cheap meal and an expensive meal.